Okay, thank you, Neil. And now for our final network action team, Thermal Energy Networks, Debbie New and Sam Lash.
Okay, so my name is Debbie New of Vermont Community Thermal Networks, and I'm here with...
Hi, all. Sam Lash here, Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission.
So we are part of the EAN Network Action Team for Thermal Energy Networks. So I want to thank EAN and all of our team members. We've been going for 3 years. We are regional planners, town energy committee members, experts in networked energy, thermal energy and modeling, Vermont energy policy, and we have people from Efficiency Vermont, VEIC, and VGS working with us. So first, the team needs to make sure that you understand that when we talk about thermal energy networks, first of all, we often use the acronym TENS, but we are talking about ground source heat pumps and water in pipes. We're talking about using waste heat and heat that's recovered from wastewater and, of course, geothermal. These are local resources that put together create neighborhood scale shared infrastructure. So that's what we mean when we say TENS. You can learn more. Let me make sure that the slide's right. Yeah. You can learn more about our team at the link here and about Thermal Energy Networks at the link to VCTN. So last year, we shared with you the toolkit that we as a team developed. It basically says where you can get started, how to identify opportunities, different ownership and financing models, and how to develop a project. So this toolkit is now in use across the country. People are using this in California, Colorado, Connecticut, and in between. And it is also being included as part of the curriculum in a course at MIT on thermal energy networks. So, more importantly, it's being used closer to home here in our communities and in the state of Vermont's new climate toolkit. So check it out there. This work has informed our work in Vermont communities. And I want to share with you a map of the places that are exploring thermal energy networks. All of those red pins are places where people are in conversation about it, people are exploring it, and they're also identifying viable projects that we're really working to advance. Now, here's another map of Vermont that shows the areas where thermal energy networks might be explored, where they might make sense. So these are our designated downtowns, intentional growth areas, and commercial and industrial parks. All of those places across that map are places where there's enough density and a diversity of thermal loads to make a thermal energy network possibly make sense. So we have a lot more potential than you, or in fact I, before I saw this map, might think. So we get to the question of why thermal energy networks, but what I want to share with you is why now. And we have 3 great reasons on 3 different levels. The first is that geothermal is favored by the current administration. It's related to the oil and gas industry and drilling. So happily, that extends to ground source heat pump systems. So there are still federal tax incentives at a base of 30% available. There is also still direct pay available to municipalities and nonprofits. And there is a new leasing provision that, like the leasing provision that launched the solar industry, is now available to ground source heat pump systems, which can mean no upfront cost. So, in our state, we not only have a law that allows municipalities now to own and operate thermal energy networks, we also have thermal energy networks in our plans. So it is part of the Climate Action Plan. It's being added to regional plans and town plans as well. And I was just at the VCAN conference and heard several people say, if it's in the plan, it's something we said we wanted to do and we need to do it. And of course, as we've been talking about today, we have urgent goals in this state where TENS can play an important role. In terms of affordability, they can provide the kind of durable, long-term, sustainable affordability. We can stop sending our thermal energy dollars out of state by using these local resources. In terms of housing, we know that shared infrastructure can help make projects happen. Like with water and sewer, it can also happen with heating and cooling infrastructure. And in terms of resilience, the components of these systems are inside and underground, so that helps with the resilience, but we can also contribute to the resilience of our electric grid. More on that in a second. So this year, our team is focused on exploring 2 topics in particular and broadening the conversation. And this is where we want to invite you to join us. The first topic is the electric grid. We all know there's a lot going on here, and also I want to share that thermal energy networks can have a key role to play. We want to explore this with you, with those of you who are focused on a resilient grid and affordable electricity. We want to get your input on how we can create affordable thermal systems that reduce the need for electric demand, especially at those expensive peak times. So, earlier this year, our team provided input on a new report on the value of thermal energy networks in Vermont. And this was commissioned by Building Electrification Institute. And I want to thank Kiara O'Loughlin, who is here from BEI with us today, for making this possible. The report details the way that thermal energy networks can bring value, but focuses on one of the most significant ways, being not just thermal energy, but electricity. So, TENS can be a tool for maintaining grid reliability and resilience. And here's a list of what's in the report. Some of the words that might stand out to you here are reduce peak, shift loads, add storage, demand response. Essentially, this report helps us understand how we can support the grid by using high-efficiency local thermal networks and saving electricity for where we really need it. So the second topic we're exploring is housing, and there's a lot going on here too. And thermal energy networks can have a key role to play here. We all know that with water and sewer, shared infrastructure can incentivize developers, can support more affordable projects, and create the kind of density we need for walkable, livable communities. It's also true of thermal energy networks. With the federal incentives that are available that I mentioned before, these actually apply to trenching for water and sewer pipes when thermal pipes are part of it. So that 30% can be available to all the infrastructure that goes in for new housing. And that's just one of the things that thermal energy networks can bring to us realizing our housing goals. So I want to give Sam a little bit of time to talk about what she sees as the potential for thermal energy networks and from her on-the-ground perspective.
Thanks, Debbie. I also understand that I'm standing between you all and cookies, so I promise this will be fast. For those who know me and know I talk a lot, I mean it. I just want to share a few stories about some of the communities we're working with and what those conversations kind of look like. I think Debbie did already a great job saying what we're focusing on. We're focusing on some big topics, right? So grid resilience, housing, 30 to 40K more housing in the next few years. That's pretty short term. But then a lot of the time we've spent today also talking about single buildings, talking about building envelopes, talking about single systems. And there's a great opportunity here in TENS for overlap between those. So this is an overlap at the community scale, really. The community scale is where those things meet. I think the key thing here is in footprint. So talking with a smaller town outside Montpelier, right? They don't have any wastewater. They really want to support housing. They saw Act 181 and they said, okay, what are we doing? Here's our little village center. We really want a grocery store. We don't have one. We really want housing for folks to downsize and age in place. We really want to keep our schools open. We'd really like our coffee shop to have enough visitors to have a full day of hours, right? So those are some of the conversations that we enter. We talk about, okay, what does it look like for a small town to look at novel wastewater right now, right? And they're continuing these conversations. And they're not the only one. And I hear that and I say, the footprint for that grocery store, for that housing, overlaps with possible TENS, right? They want to connect these possible new centers with sidewalks, also an opportunity for TENS, right? So it's how do we integrate, as someone earlier was saying, our emissions goals, our goals around affordability of energy, and most importantly, our goals around Vermonters having clean, cool, and warm, comfortable, healthy spaces to live in with the main priorities of housing. And I think that's actually quite clear in the work that we're trying to do here. And there's opportunity to design some of these systems from the ground. I would say there's probably a larger bucket of towns that I talk with and that we talk with generally that are a little bit larger, but still would be small town Vermont. They have some existing wastewater, and they're looking at expansions because they have several projects that are in the works by developers in their town. And so having conversations with them of how they can say, okay, well, we have a 6 sidewalk projects that we want to connect, all these folks with. We may be doing a wastewater extension over here, but we also have sort of a little economic area downtown over here. How do we support them? It's great because TENS can also be a lever for some of those folks. We're looking at, okay, so the brewery might be able to use the waste heat, right, from their extended wastewater inputs as an additional economic lever so they can continue to be part of the fabric of that community and so on. So I just think that there's a ton of examples and a ton of conversations that we're having with towns that when they really get into it, they know how to do these things. The reason why we're formed as municipalities and towns is to share infrastructure, right, and to make sure that everyone benefits from it. So it's just been extremely exciting, really, as part of this group to realize this conversation and to start looking at the feasibility of some of these projects on the ground. So I'll just say, really, stay tuned. And please join us. I really think the funding stacking required to do a project like connect new housing, several new housing developments with sidewalks and shared utility infrastructure, to do that and right now is pretty difficult. So come help us articulate that and help and support our communities to do it. And if you want to talk more about waste heat recovery or about the role that TENS can play in increasing the resilience of our grid, please come find me during cookies. Anything else, Debbie? All right.